Oh boy, hey everybody. How's it going? It's Monday again. Another one, can you believe it? We all made it through it. I hope you're having a good day. I hope you're washing dishes. I hope you're walking an animal. I hope you're lying on the couch. Whatever you're doing, you're here for Living Force Night. We're talking all about some standalone novels. We've been talking about a lot of series lately, so it's going to shake it up. We got a special guest on the show. I'm excited. I'm going to assume you're excited, and I'm also going to assume Wes is going to do his job and punch it.
Camera, you know what I'm talking about?
Hello, everyone. Let's see if this works here. Welcome to the Living Force. I'm one of your hosts, Eric Eilerson, and joining me tonight to talk about some standalone novels is a full crew, because we here are a UT Network podcast all about Star Wars books and sometimes comics and sometimes legends. Little hint for y'all there. Joining me tonight to talk about all these things are some wonderful fellows, including the Doctor, the Corey, the pool hat wearing Helton.
Pool hat wearing. Somebody sent me this. I don't know the story, but I was instructed that I was required to wear it on the show tonight. And I got to say, it feels pretty weird wearing a hat with my face on it, but there it is. And on the back, look at this. On the back, it says, "This is my pool hat."
Oh, man. We're going to talk about that just a little bit for those of you in the Patreon community. I hope you remember this reference. If you don't, go ahead and check out our iJedi event from a couple months ago. But besides that, of course, we have the pool hat if it were a man, Wes Jenkins.
That's a good intro. I like the pool and I wear hats. Sometimes I wear hats in the pool, but nothing like what Corey has. Glad to be here because it's been a hell of a week already, and it's only Monday.
Oh, isn't that the best time? Speaking of hell of a week and speaking of only Monday, we have our final host, one of the hosts of Legends Look Back, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Jared Mays. Hey, man.
What's up, guys? It's Charles Henkel here, and I just love like the South Carolina Gamecocks and Obi-Wan Kenobi and doctory things like stethoscopes and CPR. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my gosh, it's like he never left. That was incredible. I'm glad you finally grew a beard, Charles. It looks good.
I know. I thought I'd step it up this week.
You look phenomenal. We're so glad you're here. Our very own Dr. Charles Henkel is in the chat right now, who does claim that he lost a game of musical chairs to Jared. So he is in the corner waiting for his next turn next week. We love you, buddy. Hope you're having a good night doing doctor things like CPR, as Jared said. If you're watching us live, hello. We hope that you are enjoying it so far. Go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel to make sure that you get all of our info as it goes on. And if you're listening in your podcast catcher of choice, is it podcast catcher? Is that what they're called? I think so. Podcast platforms. Yeah. We hope that you are subscribed to the show. Go ahead, leave a review wherever you can. And while you're there, make sure you subscribe to Legends Look Back so you get more Jared content. Don't we all want it all the time? Couple announcements that we want to get through. Reminder, tomorrow, as of live recording, is March 1st, which means a Mission to Disaster. Right here, the junior reader or the middle grade novel of Wave 3 of the High Republic is finally coming out physically. The audiobook has been out since January, and the e-reader version has been out since January, but the supply chain finally caught up. Make sure that you go ahead and pick that up tomorrow, and keep an eye out at Utini, where our reviews will be coming up, of course. Written review will be up. I believe we have a video coming as well. So go ahead, make sure you tune in to utini.com tomorrow to find out what we thought about Mission to Disaster. Now, Corey, you are wearing a pool hat. And for those of you that do not know, this joke was originated when and why. Please fill some folks in before I tell you why you're wearing it.
Well, my dogs are currently going crazy, so hopefully they will not, they'll behave long enough for me to explain the pool hat story. So a while back, lovely Utini history, we had a Patreon event in which I got very, very intoxicated in Red Eye Jedi. And as part of that experience, I apparently, in my drunken rage, found a whole bunch of hats to wear in my house because apparently I had a whole bunch of hats, and I had the straw hat that I wore a lot, and everyone called it. I mean, I called it my pool hat because that's what I call it. It's what it is. It's my pool hat. I exclusively wear it to go to the pool.
And you said it very emphatically.
Yeah, it's my pool hat. That's what it is. It's my pool hat. So apparently I have a new pool hat, and only Eric knows. So tell us the tale of the pool hat, Eric.
All right. So a couple weeks ago, I get a Slack message from our very own illustrious designer, Jose, who says, Eric, I need Corey's address. That's all I got. And I'm like, okay. Why? Because I'm your friend, Corey. I will ask why before I give out your address.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
And then he said nothing, but sent me a picture of a mock-up of this very pool hat and said, Teespring has pool hats now. I need Corey's address. So then I immediately gave it to him, and he custom made this double-sided pool hat with Corey's face and the lines, this is my pool hat, on the back.
Off.
So this is a one-of-a-kind, this is my pool hat. Corey, thank you for wearing it. Our patrons got to see it earlier this week. And if you want your own, I don't know. If we get enough people to tell us that you want them, we'll make them. I can't imagine.
We need.
Don't use your hard-earned money to buy this thing.
Everybody
God.
get a good look. He has a black Star Wars T-shirt and a pair of headphones, and then you have the pool hat on top. So that is what everybody's going to cosplay at Celebration this year. We're going to have 15 to 20 Coreys with the with the headphones and the pool hat and the black Star Wars shirt.
Please, if we're going to have a party. We're going to have a party. If you dress as me at this party, I swear to God, I'll buy you a beer. Maybe all the beers, depending how much beer I have.
For the night. There you go.
You heard it here first, folks.
I won't be a doctor yet, so I am a doctor now. You know.
Well, I'll tell you what, guys. Instead of using your money on that, we have another thing you can use your money on. This is a nice little plug. We wanted to plug a new fundraiser that just started today that we're very happy to support and be a part of. It's called the Amidala Initiative. It's a GoFundMe to support Equality Texas, and it was organized by us and 77 other Star Wars creators on TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, etc. I want to plug especially Chase over at Serving Pink Milk and That Gay Jedi for bringing us in and telling us about this. This is a GoFundMe initiative from the Star Wars community to help out Equality Texas, specifically to help out trans youth in Texas. There's been a lot of rough legislation over there that's harming a lot of kids in that community, and this is our way of saying we love you and we want to help them out as best we can. There's a link in the doobly-doo down below. We can find more info about the GoFundMe and all the creators that are helping out. A lot of amazing folks, from Star Wars Explained to Sky Talkers to Pink Milk to a ton of other amazing folks in this space. So if you do have a couple of bucks and you want to help out, go ahead, click that link. Give the price of a pool hat if you so choose to help out those kids over in Texas. And if you can't, that's totally understandable. Go ahead and share that on all your social media as well. Again, it's the Amidala Initiative, and they are at Amidala Helps over on Twitter. Link, again, is in the description. Thank you all in advance for your support for this awesome freaking cause. All right. Another cause that's slightly less reputable, but still very cool, is our Patreon community over at patreon.com/utini. We want to say a enormous thank you to all of you for supporting us, making all these things possible, including all the tech we have on this show and Legends Look Back. Corey, correct me if I'm wrong. Did our Rogue One commentary publish? I saw it in ClickUp, but I'm not sure if it published yet.
It has not published yet. It's on my list to edit, but I went on a surprise camping trip to Cumberland Gap this past weekend, and I did not get that edited. So it's on my list for this week. So
paid for by Patreon money.
Or was it?
Well,
has Corey been laundering money from the Utini accounts? That is the question.
That is the question.
The answer is no, just to be clear. But yeah, I got to edit it. I do have to edit it. It's on my list this week. I promise. I'm going to do
Eric,
it.
I've got a Patreon project I want to plug.
Do it. Time. Yes, it is.
See behind me, I've got my 12-foot long photo mural of my Yavin base that I've been building. We've been chronicling the build of my new YouTube studio for Legends Look Back. And who's been helping me on this? Nathan, there we go. Nathan has been editing for me. Love you, buddy. And we've got episode 3 or 4 coming out this Friday on Patreon for our $10 and up patrons. This time around, spoiler alert, nothing but Funko Pops. Just lots of Funkos.
Yes! Excellent. That has been a really, really super fun series. If you haven't been following it and you're a patron, guess what? You got a ton of stuff waiting for you right now as Jared transforms the Star Wars room. Because you used to have a very, very impressive Star Wars room, Jared, but by the time this is done, this is going to dwarf it pretty impressively.
It was my pandemic project. I took a jigsaw to my friggin' wall and built in bookshelves. And well, my wife was really skeptical, but it turned out great. But this time around, we've got a whole room in the house, reserved specifically for my, Star Wars studio, and it's been a ton of fun trying to make it like the Rebel base from Yavin 4.
Yeah, I love that backdrop. I love it. It's so cool.
Thank you.
It is so awesome. And hey, if any of you were waiting for a sign that should I take a jigsaw to my wall and make a Star Wars room? This is it. This is it.
And this is the time Charlie comes in the room and is like, never.
No, I bought puck lights. That's all I'm allowed to do. But amazing. Head over to patreon.com/Utini if you want to hang out over there. Get those videos, get some commentaries, get a lot of great stuff. And as Stephanie said, go pledge Patreon just to hear about Jared's grandma's reaction.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of great stuff over there. So stay tuned for more parts of that project. All right, Wes, hit us with that Star Wars Weekly Roundup drop.
It's the Star Wars Weekly Roundup.
God, it's so bumping. I love it. So this week's Star Wars Weekly Roundup, a couple things. Last week, we were very sneaky and plugged that we had a big announcement the day after the show released, and so we did. It's been a week. If you haven't been to utini.com in the last week or followed any of our social media, that's fine. You live your life. But we were very fortunate to have a huge milestone day in which we published our first ever exclusive audio excerpt on utini.com. What a day, guys! That was awesome.
Go ahead.
A wild day. I was going to say, that was just a wild day. This is what we were teasing last week on the show. We said we had a huge thing that was happening, and this was really fun. It was really big. We finally were able to do something exclusive like this, and it was cool. We got a lot of really cool feedback from the community, and E.K. Johnson was really kind enough to retweet some stuff and share some stuff, and so was Catherine Tabor.
Retweeted. Yeah,
Catherine
Pat made herself.
Yeah, she actually went out of her way to actually share the link to the page itself, which was even a step above even retweeting. So it was cool. It was a really cool moment in Utini history to get access to an exclusive excerpt like that. And I hope this is not the only time. I think we really try to go above and beyond as a company to try to really push that out. I mean, it was on socials, it was on Insta Story, it was literally everywhere. I mean, we went really above and beyond. So. I was stoked. To get that out, and I'm still pretty giddy over the fact that we did this. So
that's exciting. We've taken some huge strides in like a matter of months.
6 months, I know,
yeah.
Man.
So
it's been crazy.
I can't wait to see. I mean, do we take leaps next? Are there leaps? Are there dives?
Maybe bounds?
There's bounds, absolutely. I was out of town. Did a funeral 2.5 hours away last Tuesday. So just one of those days, right?
Yeah.
And I just spent the entire trip just smiling ear to ear on the way to and from this funeral, knowing that it was Queen's Hope excerpt day. With every gas station I stopped at, pulled out my phone and was just scrolling through the messages of everybody's excitement on the team and on the internet. The celebrities, got in on the hype. I mean, it was just a good day to be in Utini.
I appreciate your being responsible, Jared, and not actually looking while you're driving. You stop
totally.
at the gas station.
Yeah, exactly.
100%. Absolutely.
And if you haven't checked it out, folks, if you go to utini.com as we're recording, it's a big banner article at the top of the homepage. Definitely, I mean, the chapter itself is great. The chapter in its written form was published last year over on Gizmodo, but Catherine Tabor, who voiced Padme in the Clone Wars, is doing the audiobook again, and that audio is right in there. Listen to that. Get that pre-order in, because that's coming in a month, because Star Wars books get published all the time. So... very excited for that. And again, thank you to Lissa over at Disney Lucasfilm, who has always been an absolute champ of publicity, despite having more emails, I think, than any human in the world. We thank you for working with us, and we can't wait for the next one. Another thing we got this week, there's a cool little book coming out from Kirsten White featuring one of our favorite Jedi, Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's called Padawan. And on This Week in Star Wars, we got a reveal of the cover from Charlie Bowater. Look at that Phantom Menace boy.
Look at his eyes. He's got some sultry eyes right here. That's all I gotta say.
That's a very good adaptation of Ewan McGregor. It looks
it's clever,
just like him.
Yeah, it's really clever. He looks really young. Maybe I should backtrack my sultry eyes comment. Because it's probably a minor in this image now that I'm thinking about it.
Why would that matter, sir? How old is he?
Just kidding. Just kidding. He looks very normal as children.
What a
often
normal
do.
picture.
Looks like a handsome boy.
Just got a message from Charles. He says R.I.P. Yep. Sorry, guys.
Yes.
I'm very excited for this. I think that there have been some covers that have come out this year that we haven't been as excited about that feature Obi-Wan Kenobi, so it's really nice. But this one is pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really good. It's
cool.
clever. It's clever artwork. It's really fun. I'm excited to get this a book about young Obi-Wan. I mean, we got a little bit of him in Master and Apprentice, which is really fun. So I'm excited. It's a really cool project.
Yeah. And there's an eyeball on the right there. Is that a Dianoga? What do you think that is?
Oh, I don't know what that. I was trying to see if there was any kind of special characters or something we're not going to see. That's the only thing besides plants, like palm leaves. What about palm leaves in Star Wars? Tell me about them.
I like it. I'm in favor.
Kirsten White, is this their first Star Wars book?
I believe, if I remember correctly, she's one of the From a Certain Point of View authors.
Right.
I forget which one she did. I think in Empire. She did
there's 40 of them. I can't keep them all straight.
Exactly, right? Also,
Everything's left.
the best audition that I think any publishing company has ever made, those books. They're like, I don't know, we need 40 submissions.
I love those
see what we
books.
got.
I love them.
Yeah, I do too. They're so fun.
Yeah, super cool. Speaking of other projects that are really cool and that are actually over, we want to send out a congratulations to Daniel Jose Older and Harvey Tolabau on the High Republic Adventures. This run ended last week, in this current iteration at least, and it was truly a spectacular, I think, story overall. The online community really responded well to the last issue. If you've been reading that and also read Midnight Horizon, there was a lot of crossover, and I just thought it ended super well. I know that us on the show, I read the comics as they come out weekly. I know some of us trade weight. I know some of us haven't dived in to High Republic Adventures yet. Jared, I actually want to ask you, are you a High Republic Adventures dude at all? Have you read these guys? Are you waiting on them?
One of the best kept secrets about me, other than the fact that my mom used to be a professional clown, is the fact that it's another story for another day.
Let's just blow right past that.
One of the best kept secrets about me is I actually am totally caught up on all things canon. Every last canon book, every last canon comic. So yeah, these are fantastic. And they are absolutely some of the most underrated, fly under the radar kind of stories in all of Star Wars right now.
I completely agree. And especially, DJO did obviously a great job with the characters. Lula and Zine especially are two of my favorites. But Harvey Tolabau is a rock star as an artist. The art in High Republic Adventures, I'm not the biggest Star Wars Adventures fan. I think sometimes the art just doesn't quite do it for me. But the detail in this series has just been amazing.
There's an image of buckets of blood that I won't spoil, but let's just say he makes naked Palps proud. We'll just say that much.
Yes, he does. You're right. You can't say anything more because it's a moment you have to experience within that final issue. So well done, DJO. Well done, Harvey. Can't wait. If you are waiting for it, it'll be collected later this year in a trade paperback like Volume 1, then Volume 2 and Volume 3. So can't wait for the graphic novel over at Dark Horse. Now, fellas, last thing in our little news segment, there was something that got released this week, and it wasn't a project, but rather it was a few articles. It was an embargo, because coming soon to Disney World Resort is the Halcyon Star Cruiser hotel experience thing. And it's probably better than that. The Galactic Star Cruiser is how we all saw it. And last week, a bunch of media professionals, not us yet, eric@utini.com.
Anybody can make that happen to be real nice. Just,
it'd be great. The next giant hotel that gets built, let us know. But a lot of media folks, whether it be TikTok, Twitter, Nerdist, IGN, a lot of people went and submitted reviews for what the Halcyon is. Now, fellas, what do you guys know of the Halcyon before we get into what these reviews said? Were you looking forward to it? Were you on the outskirts? Is this kind of a new thing?
Isn't Halcyon the name of Corin Horn's grandfather?
Nope, that is not true. Anyway, I've been pretty interested.
I think it is.
Why would
It
you?
is. It is.
It is.
It is. Yeah, that is definitely true. It is that's his Jedi grandfather, right?
Incredible.
Yeah, which I brought. I mean, I think I remember thinking that early on, like when they
You
announced
must
the
have.
name.
Even if you didn't say
It's
it,
gotta
you must
be.
have said it.
It's got to be a throwback, right? Of course.
Yeah.
There's
The
no
ship
way that was
the
not
ship that's
intentional.
named Halcyon. It's got to be named after him for sure.
That just
Yeah,
occurred
for
to me.
sure.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah, good pull.
had no idea.
I followed that production a little bit, not like super strongly or anything, but like I thought it sounded like a really cool project that you get this fully immersive hotel experience.
Mhm.
That was obviously before we knew much more about like what the experience looked like, and the cost is pretty out there, which I think we have to talk about a little bit momentarily.
It's high.
It's
very high.
It's very high. Yes, for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting because as you said, Corey, it's a 2-day full immersive experience. And now that all the pictures and videos are out, you are essentially, thank you, Wes, for putting up this article here. You go and live in this hotel that is the Halcyon Star Cruiser. It's been shown already in the High Republic. There's a Halcyon Legacy comic that's coming out in different eras, and you are basically in a Star Wars story for 48 hours. And there are things that you get on this little data pad with missions that you can undertake. There's little like side quests that you can do. All the rooms are made to look like you're on a ship. Like the windows are screens that show hyperspace. Like there's a lot of stuff going on. And I thought it was interesting because, as Corey said, the price is a thing. For 2 people, I believe for 2 nights, it's just south of $5,000. And for a family of 4, I believe it goes to over $6,000 for 2 nights, 2 days and nights. So, Utini is a volunteer organization. This isn't putting us on the Halcyon, but I gotta say the pictures were cool. I mean, I think the performers all did a great job. Some of the like events were recorded. Like Blind Fates in the chat says some YouTubers have like almost the entire thing recorded. You can look at
school
videos.
lunches, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yep, school lunches.
Yep.
It's like was it Firefest food or a little bit better?
Oh my god, it's slightly better than Firefest. Oh my god,
Yeah.
Firefest.
Listen,
I
I do have to say that like I have seen a little bit of the coverage. I haven't gone out of my way to look a ton into it, but I have seen a lot of these photos. I've seen on Instagram people sharing their sort of experiences and stuff, and I have sort of odd feelings about this, to be honest. Like it's. Like I think it's a really, really cool idea. I think in and of itself, the idea is pretty dang genius of like fully immersive. There's no windows. It's all like screens, like as if you're in space. Like that's pretty rad. But like, correct me if I'm wrong. This is sort of meant to be paired with Galaxy's Edge, right?
Yeah,
I would
you
think
go
so.
to Batu, quote unquote. Like one of the things you do is you go to the planet Batu on the thing, and you go to the park for like part of it.
Yeah, which is interesting because $5,000 for a Disney hotel, because that is kind of what it is in a lot of ways, is pretty dang outrageous. Disney already has all those major resorts, the Polynesian and what is the Disney Grand
Please
Hotel.
name them all right now,
and
Corey. Please
I,
all.
I can't name anymore. I think that's all I know. Is there any
The
more?
Chiss
What-
officer in this
like
one.
There's a couple more.
Yeah. I mean, like, I want to know if this is it. If this is like the final version, that they're not going to change anything else, and this is what you get if you sign up right now, right? I mean,
Yeah.
because I'm not personally, I'm a physician. I can throw doctor money at this and go to this if I want to, right, down the road. But man, guys, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Yeah,
All right,
there's
guys,
like
just
very few Disney
just
experiences.
auctioned off my kidney on eBay, so
I know.
Hey!
I'm buying a ticket.
Yeah, it's an interesting point, and I think it'll be interesting to see this next year of like when people are actually going and paying fully, and to see if Disney adjusts pricing. I will say here on the show, if you go, anyone that's watching or listening, go, there are wine goblets from Solo Star Wars Story.
He's doing
Hit me
it.
up in Discord.
Oh
I
my
want
God.
them, and I will ask for them.
Eric has not shut up about this for like the last 2 years. Like, please buy
Yeah, I
him
want
these
them very
wine
badly.
goblets so we can stop talking about it. It's so excessive.
He's been searching
Seriously,
for
though.
years.
Yeah,
Seriously, you and Charlie have been looking for those forever.
Yeah.
since Solo came out, basically, yeah, and they finally made them. So ultimately, we'll see where it goes. I'm very interested.
Pretty
To
much.
see what happens.
I will say that it seems like we're not the only ones that have had this sort of gut reaction to this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not sure I read a single review anywhere that didn't sort of balk at the pricing. Pretty much every single person, even with all the really awesome positive stuff they said about the cool stuff that they did, like talked about this is insane, and I'm glad I'm here on a media pass because I'm never going to be able to afford to do this ever again. So
Yeah.
which is a little sad to me, you know, because
Yeah.
Star Wars is supposed to be a multi-generational family experience in a lot of ways, and with a price tag that high, I don't know, man. That pretty much makes it a rich people game, which is
Yeah.
kind of crappy. But
I
you
just
know.
like
Jared-
to think that they're listening to feedback and
Yeah, we
we'll
were
adjust
Yeah.
pricing. But two, I mean, going to Galaxy's Edge is absolutely one of, if not the most immersive Star Wars experience you can have.
so everybody says,
Yes.
And so,
and it's a
this
Disney,
would
it's
be
a Disney Magic Kingdom ticket, right? Like it's not even like its own thing. You don't have to pay $2,000 to go to Batu, right? Like so,
right. It's accessible. it's still not cheap, and that's like $250.
Still
Yeah.
Disney.
Yeah. But you will
So-
leaving Batu. You will lose all your money somewhere
You will spend-
about $5,000 after leaving Batu, and you'll come out in rags not because you bought them there, because you have nothing left. You absolutely have
Eric,
nothing
please, if you're going to Galaxy Edge, Eric, before Celebration, please budget for the sake of all of us.
Bring a
I don't wanna have to buy your
prepaid-
dinner for the entire
I
celebration.
have a
gift card.
savings. Come on, we're never gonna retire in our generation. Let's not be ridiculous. Overall, though, we'll see what happens with it. Ultimately, it's also cool that the Halcyon is popping up in popular media. Like the comic series, as we said, it's showing up at the High Republic. Like, if nothing else, it's fun that they are further incorporating tangible things and stuff that's in the shows and the books and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens. But if you don't have $5,000, but you have, I don't know, $15, you can head over to utini.com and the release schedule, and you can get the pre-orders in, because as we said, tomorrow, the High Republic Mission to Disaster comes out physically. On the 15th, the script book of the High Republic Tempest Runner comes out, and Queen's Hope, which features the audio from the Utini exclusive excerpt, comes out on April 5th, as well as 4 Essential Legends Collection books. Jared, are you very excited for the next wave of the Essential Legends Collection?
I didn't realize it was that soon. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
man.
I'm so excited. Yeah, we're gonna have a new Kenobi cover. What's the other one? Plagueis. Other
Another
ones?
Bane?
That's-
Yep.
Yeah,
another
absolutely.
Bane.
Oh man. Whew.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Get those pre-orders in because when they come out, you want something to read. We know you do. All right, folks, we are going to take a quick break now. And when we get back, we are going to dive into some of our favorite one-off standalone novels and tell you why you should make them your next read. Be right back.
It's the best back cover since Star Wars Episode 1 hardcover novelization. The one with young Anakin, because on the back, just to remind y'all, is a full headshot of Watto.
It's so big. It's
I think
so
I brought
large.
this up on one of the earliest episodes of the Living
my
Force
God, yeah.
ever, and I thought I'd bring it back.
Oh my God, yeah.
Series and all of Legends. What do you guys think? Could it be the X-Wing series? Might just be the
It
most
was pretty
romance
steamy.
intensive series ever. And we're not just talking about the scene where Corran Horn describes his love affair with an otter. I mean, a Salonian that he hooked up with her and then he broke out in chives.
Yeah, not chives.
In
Not
chives.
chives.
What's it called? The bumps?
Hives, dude. Hives.
Chives
so
go on your
sorry.
potato.
I'm hearing you
Chives.
say the same thing.
Chives
What
what
is-
you put on the under potato. No C. Hives.
Hives.
Not
What'd I
chives.
say?
Chives.
It's not a very common story to approach. Yeah, again, drawing the complex family tree of Django to clone identical son to clone all identical millions of sons, but they're a generation older. So then the son is kind of all Django's equal, but then Boba is a generation younger. But then that clone's son is Boba's age. But then is Boba his dad or his nephew or his uncle or his cousin? It's like.
My goodness. As always, love seeing clips from our other shows, including The Cosmic Force on Wednesday nights. And Jared, what's the other show that we just saw?
Yeah, Chives. I mean, Legends Look Back.
Absolutely, we do.
That was a good one.
I loved it. Before we get into our next bit, actually, I want to say, do you want to plug what's coming up? Legends Look Back this coming Thursday night. What can people look forward to?
Oh yeah, I made the schedule at midnight last night for the next quarter of shows. So if I can remember all 10 that I just planned out. Okay. No, let's start with this week. And we are doing the dopest spaceships in Star Wars Legends. That's right. The dopest spaceships. God. And it was Rick's idea. And so today I asked the team, I was like, all right, guys, what are the dopest spaceships? And Rick and Freddie, they went at it. They just went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I've got so many in the show notes. I immediately had to say, I rescind this question. I regret asking this. Please shut up. It's going to be a wild ride.
That's awesome. Can't wait. Thursday night, tune in to find out if your favorite dopest spaceship made the list. Because who's to say? But now we have a little bit of a different list, everyone. We're here tonight to talk about standalone novels. Because we love our series in Star Wars. We love things like the High Republic. We love things like the Bane trilogy. These are all wonderful things because you get to follow these characters through a bunch of books. But guys, what is it about standalone novels or one-offs that are just a nice change of pace from now and then? Why do we like them in Star Wars specifically?
I feel like the standalone novels are like a little bit less of a commitment. I mean, personally, like it feels like the stakes are not quite so high. Like I can just read it and enjoy it and like it, and it's not like take the Thrawn books for example. I mean, we have a trilogy of Thrawn books. Like when you're reading the second Thrawn book, it's a little hard for me to kind of like step back and be like, what if it's not as good as the first one, or how is it going to link to the third one? Like it kind of feels, I don't know, it has a weird bias to it in a way. So standalone books they lack that, right? I mean, it's just kind of one and done, and you're here for the ride, and that's fun. It's fun, and they have a strong history in canon too, right? Because
for sure,
pretty much everything in the early years of canon stuff was standalone, right? Like exclusively.
Yeah. They were like, we don't know what's gonna work now, so you want a Kanan book? Hey, Tarkin, he's fun. Like, it was just kind of like
exactly
one-offs here and there. I love that idea. So if you're afraid of commitment and you have commitment issues, it's great for you. Good, love it. All right.
I enjoy how they kind of get to the point. They give you the story. They don't do a lot of character development because I've noticed in some of the trilogies, or even a Nanodecology. That's a 19-book series that they develop the characters quite a bit in those books, and then I guess the story or the plot line comes about towards the end, and I like it when they kind of get to the point. And a couple of my picks here got to the point real quick and left a little Easter egg at the very end that Legends Look Back went over last week. So can't wait to start talking about
the time that we pulled a West and spoiled it for everybody.
Synergy. Synergy.
Pulled a West. I like that.
I would say for me, it's the ability to hand a book off to somebody and say, here, read this. And there's no baggage. And don't get me wrong, while I enjoy rattling off the list of the 15 books that you should read if you want to read the 19 book, what you call it, Nanodreca.
It's a Nanodecology.
The Nanodecology. The Nanodecology.
My mom taught me that when I was 6.
I love being able to say, here's all the books that you need to read after Return of the Jedi if you want to dive into New Jedi Order, Legacy of the Force, Fate of the Jedi. But sometimes it's nice to just be like, this is the Star Wars book for you. No baggage whatsoever.
Yeah.
Or as Charles would say in the chat, the Noblo technologies.
Very good.
Those are my favorite.
I love, yeah, it's accessibility and ease, I think, is a thing. Like you said, Jared, we do podcasts about this stuff because we love it. We love going deep. We love really finding out what you got to know. And we have guides on utini.com to make it easier for people to get into those.
Yeah,
but sometimes you're right. You're having friends over. If you're like us, a friend's over, you're having a beer, and you're like, hey, you want a Star Wars book? And you can just, bam, there it is. So in honor of that, we're going to go around. We got some of our favorites. And in the chat, tell us if you like these. Tell us if you got other ideas. But Jared, as our guest for the evening, why don't you start us off? What is a great standalone novel that someone can just read?
I get to pick the one that Wes and Corey were arguing over pre-show.
Man.
Listen, I didn't pick it because I knew somebody would.
This is a segment I would like to hijack in the name of Legends Look Back and dub Oops All Legends.
Yes!
All of my picks are exclusively Legends.
Wonderful.
And I'm not sorry, because I think, if I'm not wrong, Corey's picks are all canon, so perfectly balanced, as all things should be. This is one of my newest Legends hardcovers. I get to show it off live on the show.
Hey,
Look at how
now.
these colors pop.
Oh.
This is, for our audio-only listeners, Yoda Dark Rendezvous by someone, Sean Stewart. And this is one of these Legends books that sat on my shelf, and I was like, Yoda, Dooku on the cover? I don't know. I'm invested in my deep, super long nano-decologies. When am I ever going to read this, random standalone Clone Wars novel? And oh my goodness, if it isn't one of the best Legends books ever. It's kind of like a horror, spooky, like a Goosebumpsy kind of silly, spooky book where Dooku's got this castle on a planet Vajun with like living vines, like pre-Dringir, but like meaner. Anyway,
I like that.
It gets into the backstory between Yoda and Dooku prior to Dooku becoming a Sith Lord. So kind of that Dooku Jedi Lost territory, but Legends.
Yeah.
What year this was? This was before the Clone Wars. Whoa, mine is signed. Oh my goodness! Just open it up for the first time.
No, it's not. Let me
What?
see.
Here we
It's
go.
signed?
Oh yeah, not by the author though. Don't worry. It says,
Wait, what?
What does it say?
Say?
To my beloved.
it says, I can do this. To Mitchell, with all our love, Grandma and Grandpa, 2005.
Oh, man, that's so good.
Wow,
You stole some
my God.
child's
Okay.
book.
Mitchell, dude, and you donated it?
Whatever you did,
Oh,
Mitchell,
man.
it's a crime. Also, we would love to have Grandma and Grandpa and Legends Look Back.
Yeah. Also, I mean, Grandma and Grandpa gave
Good
Yoda
choice.
Dark Rendezvous,
Yeah, what a
Like-
choice.
Good choice.
which is also great because, I mean, Yoda is one of those characters that shows up like in the ancillary parts of a lot of books, right? We don't really get a lot of Yoda focused stuff. Like that Clone
No.
Wars arc was so big because it was a Yoda arc.
This might be the only Star Wars book with Yoda in the title.
I think it
Sweeping
is.
declaration.
I
I'm
think
saying
that's
it
right.
here.
Yeah.
Boom.
I have no
Right.
idea.
Boom. It's canon now. I mean, Legends can you get it.
It's a good one. Y'all read this one?
I
I
have
have not read
but
this
I'm
one.
like-
I don't
I
think
want
so.
that
I might
hardcover.
have. I mean, it may have been in my pirated Kindle phase. It may have been in those books, but I don't remember that one. I mean, what you're describing sounds a little out there. I feel like I would remember that. Like I remember reading the Mace Windu book, on there.
Yeah.
but
That makes an
Shatterpoint?
impression.
Shatterpoint, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you
I
what.
remember being weird.
Mitchell's grandparents, if you're listening, I would love a hardcover copy of Yoda Dark Rendezvous. So hit me up in Discord. Excellent choice. Excellent choice starts off, Jared. Corey, we go from Legends. Let's jump into canon with one of your picks. What do you got?
I am going to do something dramatic here. Dramatic. Never before seen on the Living Force. And, we got some feedback a while back on YouTube, actually. I'm not sure if you guys knew about this. We got some feedback on YouTube saying that I tend to, I think the word is shit on a particular book very,
Well,
very
no.
hard.
No.
I want to talk about iJedi.
Oh my God!
Oh, I had it pulled out. I was going to use it as a gag at the end of the episode.
Oh my
Whoa!
gosh, yeah. I think
no,
it's
talk about
time.
it.
Ruined.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
think it's time to finally discuss Jedi from a non-completely shit on way. All right, now there's a long history with this book
right.
on this show. All right, I had a little bit too much to drink in the early Utini days. On May 4th, we had a watch party with just kind of the company before we had live streams and all that kind of stuff, and we watched. I think we watched episode 4. I'm pretty sure.
I think that's right. Yeah.
And in my drunken rage, which I've now referenced twice on this show, I'm not an alcoholic, I promise. But I guess that's probably what alcoholics say. In my drunken rage, I had a lot of negative things to say about iJedi and Michael Stackpole. Not really Michael Stackpole, that's not fair. Mostly iJedi and the character Cornhorn dramatically. And it's kind of been a running joke on the show that I hate this book. And like it's not really entirely true. It's mostly a joke, right? That I hate this book. And like proof that it's mostly a joke, it should be that this is in like tier 3, I believe, in the Utini reading order, which is not the lowest tier actually. The lowest
That's
tier
right.
is you should skip. And this book is actually 6.6. It's pretty low.
What
like
a nice
as
thing to
far
say
as
about this book.
scoring goes.
Very nice.
It's not in
Not
the
in the
lowest
worst.
tier.
It's not in the lowest tier. It's not in the lowest tier. But the one really big positive thing I will say about it is it has a 7.6 in originality, which is that's pretty average middle,
Yeah.
like for books. And there are some redeeming qualities about the book, right? I mean, it's a very technical book. If you're a big fan of Alexander Freed, all right, and his sort of technical writing about ships and like lightsabers and like fighting and like the really technical nitty gritty where they describe every single detail of how space combat is occurring, like iJedi might be a good choice for you, to be honest.
my
The book
gosh.
took some big risk, right? It's the only first person Star Wars novel that's ever been written. I think. I'm pretty sure it is.
The only Legends one. There's one in canon. There's been some recent short stories that do too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I've seen
This
that.
is-
Is the
It was the
Luke
first.
Skywalker book? What's the heir to the Jedi? Is
Heir to
that
the
first
Jedi?
person as well?
Yeah.
I think it might
Yes.
be. That one is in our do not read category. So I hope
Yes, it is.
I hope that one.
Yeah.
hope
All I
that
have
one
to
is
say
not
about it
somebody's
is
choice.
yes, it's also a first.
Noodle
person.
gang.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. And yeah, Michael Stackpole is really brilliant. I think. Like, to be honest, like the technical. There's like a 4-page description that you guys tried to force me to read while I was very, very drunk. I was like 14 shots in at
Yeah,
that
that was
point.
my fault.
You
Thank
were
you.
okay.
Yes.
You were drinking room temperature tequila. It was pouring warm shots
know.
of
I'm
tequila.
sorry.
Like
In your
you were
hat.
trying. You were trying to get drunk. You just
It was-
Yes, all right. I
happened
know
to
it was.
fall upon
That
it.
was the point of the Patreon event. Several
Patreon
months ago,
events.
last year, we did a Patreon event. We tried to make it fun, and we did a Patreon kind of like request, and people wanted me to do a live reading of iJedi, so I turned it into a drinking game, which is probably a mistake because I was wasted, like very close to blackout
the whole
drunk.
thing.
Don't do what your doctors do. Like that was really bad.
The problem here
but-
is not the book; it's Corey.
That's
Exactly.
right. That is correct.
We're
That is
finding.
correct. And anyway,
the
so
patrons.
towards the end, when I could barely even see straight, Jared, apparently, I didn't know it was you until just now. So thank you for that, Jared, you jackass. Pretty towards the end of the event, when I was very, very intoxicated, Jared had me read the description of how he builds his lightsaber, like in the book, and it is the most technical, insane shit that I've ever read in my whole life. It's like 3 pages long, and it's just about parts. And like this tiny little metal part is from the tip of a X-wing, I don't know, alternator. Like it's ridiculous. Like it's just like all the parts are just from all these different places, and it's very technical. And yes, the book is a little problematic, right? Cornhorn is, a little bit sexist, a little bit racist in the early parts of the book, especially.
It's very chauvinistic.
It is. He's very chauvinistic, but I've heard a lot of people say that iJedi was the first Star Wars book they read because it fits, right? It's got a Jedi on the front. He's holding a lightsaber. It's not Luke. It's a clever title. It seems interesting, right? Like I've heard a lot of people say that was their first Star Wars book, and I don't want to take away from that, right? I think that anybody's first book is always special to folks, and this is my sort of apology to the community in a way for being so mean about it for all this time, which is mostly a
No.
joke. To be clear.
I never
So,
thought I'd live to see the day.
The iJedi apology tour.
Yes,
My gosh.
that's correct.
It only took a couple of years, Jared.
It's an important part of Cornhorn's like overall
It is.
trajectory, and he's one of
Yeah.
the most well-developed characters in all of Legends. And this
It
is
is.
a big part of that. You can't skip it.
And
Wow.
Jared, actually, speaking of Legends and Cornhorn as a character, I sort of started to think about maybe stopping being so negative about the jokes and stuff about iJedi when I went back and listened to the new X-Wing book, right?
Yeah.
When they were releasing the Essential Legends collection, because Mark Thompson does the audiobook for, the first X-Wing book. And Cornhorn's a major character in the book, and he's kind of a normal guy throughout the whole book, right? He's not like a hateable character in any way, shape, or form. He's just a normal dude. And he's a fine character.
He's hateable. He is.
Okay, he is hateable. I remember, now that I'm remembering that, there's a couple scenes, but he's still problematic. He's a problematic character, okay? But that's kind of his thing.
He hates multitudes.
It's on
He's
purpose.
like Tom Cruise from Top Gun.
It's so that he can progress. That's right.
That's right.
not
There you
fair.
go.
Wow. All right, Wes.
Tom Cruise, the Scientologist from Top Gun. To be
Yes.
clear. All right.
To be clear. Try to follow that, Wes. What book do you have?
Okay, standalone book. I'm going to keep preaching this every time I pull out a book that came from my early days of reading Star Wars, because I got it from the Utini book boxes that may or may not be coming back.
That's not
Wes,
true. Stop
no.
telling people that. We're never doing that ever again.
I heard they were going
That's
back.
not even. No, absolutely not. If the UTN book boxes are coming back, somebody else is packing them in their damn apartment this time.
We can figure out a thing. Don't worry about it. All right, so I got sent. I got sent a book that I would probably never have purchased on my own, but I'm really glad I did. That was the whole reason that the Utini book boxes are great. You didn't really know what you were going to get. I mean, what a
Shut
plug,
up.
right?
Shut the hell up.
So I got Scoundrels by Timothy Zahn.
Awesome.
This is a definite standalone novel. It is your Ocean's 11, Ocean's 12, Ocean's 13 heist book where Han assembles a team, and kind of the background on this is they had Han had his reward stolen from him basically after I think it was Return of the Jedi. So he's trying to pay back Jabba the Hutt somehow, and he hears from, I think it's Inger. How do you say it, Jared? Do
Nah, you're out on the limb with this one, man. No.
So he's like, yeah, this so and so bad guy had killed my grandfather or my father. I think it was his father, and stole all of his money. If you help me get it back, I'll give you a 50-50 even split. And Han was like, hell yeah, I'm doing that. Let me get my team together. So then this is where I got introduced to Winter for the first time.
Same for
I
me.
know,
My first Winter appearance.
yeah, was Winter in the original Thrawn trilogy?
Good question. Maybe.
I
She's
think
definitely
so.
in X-Wing books.
Yeah,
Just
so
the X-Wing trilogy.
It sounds like it.
yeah, so I think
Chat,
I remember
tell
her.
us if we're wrong in the next 5 seconds.
But like Bink and Tavia were like these two like cat burglars that he had on his team, and Chewie obviously. But there's a huge twist at the end of this. Do not go back. Okay, go back and watch Legends Look Back, but don't watch that part
Give a
about this
spoiler
book.
warning.
Yeah,
we gave a spoiler warning.
You're right. We do give a spoiler warning. Okay, but huge
Also, we got
twist.
3 confirmations that Winter is in the Thrawn trilogy.
Okay,
Thank you,
great.
Justin, Stephanie.
Yeah.
You're the best.
So the interesting thing about Scoundrels to me, and that was one of the first book boxes, I believe, by the way, I'm pretty sure, was we put Scoundrels in it as the companion book to, I think it was Last Shot and Scoundrels.
Oh, man.
That was the pairing.
I got, look at this bookmark that's still in there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I remember I read Scoundrels shortly before we did that, and that's like, it's pretty late in the Legends chronology, right? Like as far as like
thinking 11.
It's
Yeah,
one of the
2011,
last
2012, somewhere in there, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the last. I feel like one of the last, kind of hyped Legends books that came out, and it was like a weird little Legends family reunion. I felt like there was all kinds of cameos and characters, and
Yeah.
it was good. It was a fun book to read. I really enjoyed that book, as that's one of my favorite independent novels too. It was really good.
It's
to
just
read.
fun. It's just
Yeah.
It is.
just joyful.
It's just fun. It's just fun. It
At
is
one
fun.
point, Han gets like locked in a closet, and he's like, "How do I get out of here? I don't know what to do." It's so good.
Yeah,
And it's fun
yeah.
because Zahn usually writes space opera, right? He usually writes these big bombastic space battles, and it's just a team, and they got a mission, and they gotta get the jewels. It's like it's just very,
Yeah,
There's
he assembles
Shizor.
the team, and
Shizor's in there, yeah, your
if you
favorite,
like-
Jared.
If you like Phalenes and their pheromones, this is the book for you. Not
boy.
Shadows of the Empire.
Oh wow, 2013 came out on New Year's Day, 2013.
How about
Wow.
that?
That's late.
Can we
I
just
was
appreciate- we
I
should
know I've
appreciate
told
the fact
this-
that
I've-
We've got 3 Legends books in a row.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Point.
I know I've told
I gotta
this story
say-
like a million times on the show, but when I first went to one of my first like Comic Cons, Timothy Zahn was speaking in one of these little meeting rooms, and everybody was talking about Outbound Flight, like asking him questions about Outbound Flight this, Outbound Flight that, and I was like, I haven't read that one, but hey, I like Scoundrels. What did you say? What did you think about writing Scoundrels? I thought it was great because right after I was done reading it, I immediately wanted to read it again because that last cliffhanger at the end like really summed the book up for you, and you're like, holy crap, I can't believe that's what happened.
Now I got to read the whole book.
Now I
again.
got to read it all
Yeah,
over
we asked
again.
that to Timothy Zahn.
I
what he
100%
thought about
did.
his own plot twist.
Yeah, weird, right? and then well, I was 2 or 3 beers deep, and that's when I went and asked him with the liquid courage to give us our first Utini plug of.
And he did.
Hey, this is Timothy Zahn. Like,
did.
I was like, just talking to my
Wes
phone.
was barely on the team. He was like barely
Yeah, I
on the
know.
team. He didn't
Hell
come
of
in
an
here long at
intro.
all, and then he like shows up with the damn audio clip of Timothy Zahn,
Timothy
probably the
Zahn.
largest profile author in Star Wars history. Just here's an audio clip of him introing the Living Force. I was like, all right, well, I guess you're in leadership now. That's cool.
Amazing stuff. Well, I gotta say, Jared, you were talking about 3 Legends books. What does 4 Legends books in a row do for you? Because my choice to start us out is actually because of Legends Look Back. I believe this was my first time on the show. We talked about this glorious, technically standalone novel, which is Clone Wars Wild Space. This is a book that features Obi-Wan Kenobi, but most importantly, our Lord and Savior Bail Organa. This is
They're
a
not
Bail
even on the
Organa
cover.
book. Captain Rex is on the cover.
Yeah.
Not a main character in this book.
No.
Not at all. Not even a little bit. But this is the story
not
where
a great cover in my opinion.
no, they were really
What are you
banking
talking
it.
about?
If you like the show, you like it. So this is by Karen Miller, and this book basically as a whole is Obi-Wan and Bail Organa go on an adventure together, and there is a lot of the book that involves like Sith stuff and dark side things, like inhibiting Obi-Wan's ability to function correctly. So Bail is a freaking hero, and there's some art for this book in the Pablo Hidalgo book, The Essential Legends Companion, I believe.
Throw it in the Discord.
Thank you, Jared. And it includes a picture in there of Bail literally just body carrying Obi-Wan Kenobi up a mountain, and it is. I mean, a lot of people question my love for Bail Organa. I do as well, but. This book just confirms it so much. It is, and it begins. There's some really good Anakin Obi-Wan stuff. So if you're missing Anakin Obi-Wan Clone Wars content, that's in the beginning of this book. But you get Senator Bail and Jedi Obi-Wan going back and forth about like issues with the Jedi, issues with politics, and then the dark side. We always see that through Jedi's eyes, but seeing it through Bail's eyes and like what is a Sith energy like? Like what is a Sith temple like through a normal person's eyes? Was so fascinating to me, and I just really love the banter between them. I think Karen Miller does a great job talking about, or with their dialogue rather. It sounds like Jimmy Smith, it sounds like Ewan McGregor, and it's a really fast, fun read. Also, Mitchell, if your grandparents are still listening, I'd love the hardcover to this as well. It's very hard to find. But yeah, Clone Wars Wild Space. I love this book.
Man.
I love this book so much, and Jared, thank you. Because on Legends Look Back, I didn't know it existed, and when you guys had me on, I think this is years ago now. At this point,
Yeah.
you informed me of its existence, and I absolutely love it.
It's one of our first 10 episodes for sure.
Yeah,
Oh, you did a beautiful job describing it, a couple years after you read it. I think it is absolutely one of the most underrated Star Wars books ever written. Mic drop.
yes,
That's
completely agree.
Wow.
Yeah, Caroline
High
just
praise.
bought it. Yes, good.
it. The hardcover, because that thing's like $280.
It's so expensive. It's so.
Her roommate's rich. Let's be clear. All right.
Listen, y'all. If you want
He's
to,
a
if you
doctor.
bring me, if you come up to me at Celebration, and with the hardcover of Wild Space, I don't know. Blank check. What do you want? What do you want from me? that's
We
not
already
money?
had this
We'll see what
conversation,
happens.
Eric. You can't. This is before
Listen,
you get
your
to the
spending
park.
is out of control. This is an intervention.
It's
No,
either
I'm
this or
talking-
the wine goblet.
I'm talking about hugs, kisses, pictures, whatever we want. Clone Wars Wild
Not
Space,
money.
amazing book. Jared, next round. So, guys, great first round of books. Very, all
seriously.
legends
Round of
so far.
applause.
Seriously.
Stamp of approval from me to all 4 of you.
Yes!
All 3 of you. You know,
Three of
all
you.
right.
Listen,
Four
we
of
don't get
us.
to talk about legends that often on the show, all right? So
We don't.
you get Jared on. It's a good opportunity, man. It's good. It's branding.
I agree.
It's synergy. Synergy.
They're good books.
Oh, amped. I actually read canon too. We can talk about canon, but I won't.
Oh, it's
Here we go.
coming. It's coming.
Here we go. Darth Maul, Shadow Hunter.
Oh yeah, you've talked about this one a lot in the
I
past.
have. I love it. It's really good. It is. Rumor has it. I don't know if it's like official or not. It's hard to know what these things might be getting. Potentially an Essential Legends collection
Ooh,
reprint, which would be cool.
that'd be great.
I would love an unabridged audio book. Del Rey, if you're listening, please.
Yeah, that would be
This
fantastic.
would be
Read by
this one-
Sam Witwer. Manifest it. Read by Sam Witwer. Manifest.
Jared's face.
my own saliva. I really did. Here we go. All right. This is a pre-episode 1. Maul is antsy. You know how he's like, pacing the corridors on Naboo, and Qui-Gon sits still and is like, it's all good, meditates.
Mhm.
Maul, he can't sit still. He would have had a fidget spinner if they had him back then, but they didn't.
His lightsaber is just a fidget spinner, isn't it?
The original, the OG fidget spinner.
That's right.
And so the fact of the matter is, he can't sit still. He's very ambitious. At last we will have our revenge on the Jedi. At last we'll have our revenge. So this is him like getting ahead of himself and prematurely, going out for revenge on a Jedi Padawan. There's a holocron involved, so it's like there's a MacGuffin. It's on Coruscant in the underlevels. The Jedi Padawan that kind of is the main character on the light side of things is really well written, really good one-off character. It is a really good standalone book in its own right if you love Maul. If you want like a different kind of intro to the Phantom Menace after you've read like the Queen's books, for example, this would be a good one for that. It does kick off. So it's like, is it a standalone book? Kind of, and kind of not. It is, but then the author Michael Reeves, does launch into like his own universe of Legends books after this. The MedStar books involve some of the same characters, and then the Coruscant Knights books, and then the original Last Jedi, all stem from this.
Speaking of ridiculously expensive hardcovers, that Last Jedi is. No, The Last Jedi. Sorry.
Oh.
The Last Jedi of Michael Reeves is one of those ridiculous ones. Yeah, here we go. It's a really cool cover.
And this is if this book does become an Essential Legends collection, because I wouldn't be surprised if it did. This is the only one I've not read, like of all of them that have been announced. And I imagine it might be the only one that ever will be announced that I've not read, because like I didn't know that this was as big of a deal of a book, actually, Jared, until we brought you on the team, because you raved about it all the time. So like,
I'm not the only one.
Like,
a lot of people do.
No, yeah, lots of people.
People like it a lot.
I didn't know about that. This was a popular book. I mean, I heard about Shatterpoint. I read all those, but I did not know that this Darth Maul book was as popular as it is, because it is hugely popular. Yeah, big
I
fan.
love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
So, yeah.
it's a standalone, and that's part of the reason why it's underrated.
Yeah.
Is you don't have to read it in order to get the sense of the main Legends timeline.
Right.
It doesn't
Yeah.
But
get
you
as much
can.
hype
Yeah.
as the Thrawn trilogy.
Awesome. Great choice. Corey, you took round 1 by surprise. Round 2, are we going back to the normal workings of the universe?
Yeah, I mean, I think I have another book here. I want to talk about Phasma by Delilah S. Dawson.
Great choice.
Yeah, I picked all books that I feel like are a little less known, that I don't feel like we have talked about a great deal on the show, at least in the light that I'm planning on talking about them, you know what I mean? So
Sure, yeah.
But about Jedi is we never shut up about. But anyway, Phasma by Delilah S. Dawson, I think, is the sleeper hit of canon that literally nobody talks about. It's a little lower of a score on our team, but it is very high up in the reading order.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it's a super, super fun book that like makes Phasma like an important character of the sequel trilogy, right? And like when I read this book, and I put it off forever, actually, and I didn't read it until like a year or two after it had come out, and like I couldn't put it down when I started it. Like there's something about like the like the pacing of the book is really, really good, and like you get all this background of she's from this like tribal people on this on a war-torn planet, and it's just, and then it like introduces Hux, and Hux is a psychopath father, and like how Hux is in charge and not a psychopath father, and that whole story point is in there, and
Hux's stuff in there is what surprised me the most. Legit.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
real
yeah.
good.
I mean, there's Hux's basically whole origin story is in the book actually, and like so in Phasma's origin story, Hux's origin story, you get a lot of details. You get more details about the origin of the First Order in this book than you do in any other canon media, and the movies and comics and everything combined. Like seriously, you get so much early First Order stuff from the book, and it's super fun. If you haven't read Phasma, then you should. Oh, Jared, you said in the chat it's very Dune-esque.
Yeah,
Oh,
Andrew
man,
brought
is
that
very-
up.
yeah, that is very-
Absolutely.
Tonally, it's unlike any other Star Wars book I've ever read.
Yeah,
It
Yeah.
has a totally different vibe.
Is it a?
yeah. There is this. There's this weird, almost like I don't know, spiritual is the right word. Like kind of, I don't know, witchy. Like I don't know. There's this sort of like
It's
of the
witchy
occult kind of.
Woman. Sorry.
it does have this unique vibe of its own. It does feel just kind of like a very odd book, but it's cool because Phasma is one of those characters that obviously came out and was meant to be the Boba Fett of the sequels. Really cool armor,
I didn't
great
thought about
actress, not a lot of screen time, and then this book you really do respect it, and also, I mean, it intros us to Vimerati and Cardinal, who are in Black Spire later on.
That's
So
true.
yeah,
The
prequel
framing,
to Black
the
Spire,
framing
right?
of the story is very,
Yep.
very good.
So
yeah.
standalone novel, I think, still counts. But if you like this, you can go to Black Spire with more info.
That's right.
Great choice, Corey.
That's right.
Great choice
Yes.
on Phasma.
Thank you. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
broke the legend streak though. I'm disappointed.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
All right, Wes.
I have more Legends books, but you know.
Okay. Back to you, teeny book box. I'm just kidding. This one didn't give me anything. So this is funny that I talk about it now because we just got done watching Rogue One. The book that I'm going to talk about that is a great standalone book is Guardians of the Wills.
Oh,
kind of a would you call us a junior reader? Maybe. I mean, it's a smaller
Yeah.
book.
middle grade,
it's
junior
like
reader.
middle
I
grade
still don't know what to call
reader.
them. I think middle grade. Yeah.
They're junior readers on our site.
Yes.
Mm.
So
we
because of which it may have been passed over, but great standalone book because how it follows it's basically before Rogue One, and it follows Baze and Chirrut as they used to be Guardians of the Wills, and after the temple was sealed up, then the Empire came in, and now they are trying to hold off the Empire, and there's this whole battle that goes on, and then Saw Gerrera comes in, and they figure, oh my gosh, should we work with Saul? Should we not? But spoiler alert, we figure out how Baze gets his super cool gun in this book.
Yeah.
So
It's what these are
I
for.
was about to
It's what
say.
they're for.
I was about to say, like,
Yeah.
I really resonate with Baze's journey of faith, as somebody who fell off the faith. And I'm about to make like this deep spiritual, theological point, and then you say, as a Texan, I like the gun.
you see
Something
how big
for
that
everybody in
is?
this book.
God dang! it's a really easy read. It's a fun read. I mean, it's like a little over 200 pages. You can knock this out in a day. It's a really good. It's a good book. Just to it's Wes's seal of approval. Great toilet read. You should definitely put it. You definitely fix.
like
Toilets
3-4
and guns, a
poops
Star Wars
max.
story.
Like,
Yeah,
you know.
say.
Yeah.
You want a good toilet read with big guns and spiritual questions? Guardians of the Wills.
There
Great
you
book.
go. There you
And a
go.
great cover too. Great cover.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, look at that.
Good
Mature
cover.
and Baze are
Hardback.
fantastic characters.
Interestingly, like skirts all around like anything related to Jedi. To be honest, like you don't really learn anything about the Guardians of the Wills. Really, like, there's not much detail
just
about
them.
them at all. It's really just about them and their run-ins with Saw Gerrera and stuff. But like you kind of expected it to have more of that stuff, but they didn't, which is interesting. So
Might have been a little too
Ooh.
deep, but
And
fair enough.
and shout out to the chat. Blind Faith and Stephanie answered Caroline's question. There is a manga adaptation or manga adaptation
right.
of it as
That
well.
is
So
right.
if you want to check
know
that
that.
out, that's also available. Get some more Cheer and
Yeah.
Baze. Wes, I'm gonna actually pick up on what you just put down and say my next choice is also related to an anthology movie, which is the Solo tie-in, but it's still technically a standalone novel. It's one we have talked about quite a bit, but not for a while. It's Most Wanted by Ray Carson. This book, it still remains the fastest I've ever read a Star Wars book in my life. I was on a plane ride from Wheels Up to Wheels Down, read the whole thing. This book basically follows a Han and Kira, and a younger Han and Kira before Solo: A Star Wars Story, as they make their way through the streets of Corellia. Similar to Scoundrels, it has some heist elements. It has some kind of street gang elements. There's some romance in it, obviously. But you get a Han and Kira at the beginning that aren't really nearly as close to the Han and Kira who like make out in the first minute of Solo. Bless them, it's great.
Yeah, that's right.
But if you liked Solo at all, or even if you didn't like Solo as much because you didn't resonate with the characters, I legit highly recommend reading this book because it's a very fun book, and I think Ray Carson has this ability to really just key in on the voices of the characters that she writes almost more than any other author. Like her young Han, you hear Alden in your head, and you hear Amelia Clark with the Kira lines so perfectly, and it really leads into Solo super well. So while it is a standalone book in that there's not a sequel to it, other than like the movie, it does actually enhance the movie in ways that we talk a lot about with like the Queen's books with Phantom Menace and stuff like that. I freaking love this book, and I think it really adds a lot to the introduction of Solo with like the White Worms and Proxima and stuff like that. So while not necessary, it's absolutely a great, one and done read. Not a toilet read, Wes, but an airplane read.
For me, it was a lawnmower read. Read the entire thing, listened to the entire thing, the audiobook on the back of a turn mower.
I always think about that, about how you listen to the Star Wars books when you're on the back of a lawnmower, because I wish I would have done that as well whenever I was mowing yards when I was a little kid. So, damn it. They probably weren't
You don't
out.
have to be a little kid to mow yards, Wes. You can do it as a grown man.
I can't get that time back, though, when I was just out there trying to sing songs to myself, trying to get the day over with. But
I will also say, if you are, this is a little bit of a plug for next week, we're starting our Midnight Horizon Roundtable by Daniel Jose Older. If you liked Midnight Horizon a lot and want more Corellia stuff, he did put in some Easter eggs from Most Wanted and some of that vibe. So if you want a little more of that like kind of grimy street stuff from Midnight Horizon, Most Wanted's where you got to go. Absolutely love that book.
I didn't catch that. Oh, cool.
There is a specific Easter egg that I'm very excited to talk about that is hard to catch. Didn't catch it my first time around, but the author did tell me about it, so I had to look for it. So very stoked.
What do you guys think? One more round?
I think so, and then we'll do one more big round, and then we'll do some rapid fire.
Okay, sounds good.
So, Jared, what's your next? Let's make it a good one. A real meaty read. I know the pressure.
Yeah.
The pressure.
I want the main course.
I still have 5. I can't do it.
All right, we'll do a mild run. Then we'll do some nice, fun, rapid fire ones.
Okay. All right, here we go. Dark Empire. I got to do it. Dark Empire.
Oh,
Dark
you
Empire.
do.
It's all right. It looks like a book, but it's not.
It says it's a trilogy on there. It
It
literally says trilogy on there,
What
Jared.
am I holding, Wes? It's a book. One
book
book.
that says trilogy on it. That's what I'm seeing.
It's good. Read it. Here's my real pick.
All right. Real.
Here we go. Coming up later this
yeah.
year, we've got an Obi-Wan
Just
Kenobi.
flex that hardcover on us,
Look at
bro.
that beauty.
God, it's beautiful.
That's
I love an
nice.
excuse to pull this sucker off the shelf.
Yes, sir.
The fact of the matter is we're going to be doing some big coverage here on this. I don't even know if we've like publicly announced this yet. So I'll just tease. There's big stuff to come with
It's
Kenobi
coming.
happening at Utini. And now would be a good time to sink your teeth into this if you haven't yet. I was just writing about it for the site this week. And it's the basic idea is it's a smaller story. Some people come to it and they're like, I was expecting something sprawling, Star Wars, traveling planet to planet. The whole thing is on Tatooine. And it's right after episode 3, Kenobi. It's in our foundational 5. It's a classic, but it's personal in the sense of Obi-Wan has to figure out how to be a Jedi when there are no more Jedi. There is no more Jedi Order. It's illegal to be a Jedi, but there's still problems that need Jedi everywhere. That idea in and of itself is a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
This
and
was
it's
from
a
John Jackson
heartbreaking
Miller.
read, really.
Mm.
What year was this? 2013?
It was it was
right
it was
before
again one
the
of those
Legends
late
canon
ones.
split.
Yeah,
Was it really that recent? I had no idea.
it was.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
There
one
is
of the
no
last
Wes-
ones.
paperback without a banner. In fact,
Yeah. Hey Wes, quick question: how many years ago is 2013 to you?
Oh my god.
We're just old, buddy.
Back in my day.
We're just old now, buddy.
It seems like only yesterday.
Yeah, it's a spectacular read. I mean, Kenobi is one of those books that is. I almost feel like some new Star Wars readers will be like, "Oh, it's it's not like a cool book. It's the movie character, it's the movie guy." But it really is written. So I mean, Obi-Wan legit does not show up for the first 40, 50 pages. Like it
Yeah.
really,
It's a long
John
time.
Jackson Miller takes time to craft that world really, really well, and makes a lot of Tatooine stuff that honestly probably inspired things like the Book of Boba Fett, like things like Mandalorian. Like
Yeah.
it really does a lot.
it is a great Tatooine read. It really immerses
Yeah, it
you
really is.
in that.
It really
in
does.
that planet.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
God.
the Kenobi book specifically is why doing so much Tusken stuff in Book of Boba Fett was a risk, because it is very, very good in in the Kenobi book for sure.
Yeah.
You get a lot of lore, Tusken lore, good stuff.
We were
Love it. And-
we were
and
reaching
Kenobi's
for
one of
those
those ones-
Easter eggs too in
Yeah, for sure.
in the Book of Boba Fett. So I'm kind of
Yeah,
glad they
and
didn't
it-
show up. Kind of glad they didn't.
It,
show up.
and it is one of those things. Like it's one of those books where I don't have this with a lot of books, but I remember where I was when I was reading some of it. You know, I remember
It'll do
what
that to
school
you.
I was subbing at, and I was like, oh yeah, this is when I learned that. It really hits you really hard. Corey, your last main one before the rapid fire round. What are you gonna pull up?
Oh man, my last main one may surprise you a little bit, but this
Not more than the
is-
first one.
That's true. That's a good point. I'm gonna go with. I thought about cheating on this and choosing a bunch of them, but I'm actually gonna go with one. I'm gonna
Okay.
go with Tarkin by James Luceno.
Hey, okay.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I listened to this book on audiobook recently. I remember I was painting the camper. Like I have all these memories. Know you said you had like
Painting
these
your
memories of
wagon?
reading the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, paint my wagon, man. Like freaking Tarkin. I listened to Darth Plagueis, Tarkin, and the first X-Wing book all back to back, like while doing all the paint work in the camper. And this was the sleeper hit for me. Plagueis was a spiritual experience listening to it after having started a Star Wars company, let me tell you. But Tarkin, I was like, I want something else that's a little heavy, and by James Luceno would be ideal. And I forgot that Tarkin existed, and I read it. I read a paperback a long time ago, but listening to the audiobook was utterly phenomenal. The narrator is somebody interesting there. Like they've not really done a lot of Star Wars books, I don't think.
Daniel
Ewan,
Davis.
I think. No, is that who the narrator was?
Yeah. Ewan?
Daniel Davis.
Daniel.
Oh no, Ewan
Daniel
Morton.
Davis?
Ewan?
It says Ewan Morton on the Utini site, unless that's
Okay.
incorrect. No, it was. It is
I
somebody
might
new.
have
It wasn't
something wrong
Daniel
in my
Davis. Yeah, it was somebody new because he mispronounces several names in the book that's noticeable. Like he calls
Him Tarkin.
Am I
No.
wrong on my
Oh,
Legends
no.
facts? Oh no.
I don't know.
All right, Jared, see you later.
This is not a Legends fact.
Make
It's not
sure you get that
Oh,
right. Anyways.
This book is very good. I mean, there's all this content about. Oh, he's leaning back. All this content about like why Tarkin is such an evil son of a bitch, and like they get it. They get it right, dude. They get it right. Like talking about his background and his harsh upbringing. Like the small spoiler I'll give you is that like he grew up on a planet in which it was sort of a rite of passage for you to go and survive like on this really dangerous part of the planet for like a couple years. Like it's not like I don't think it's not like a 2-week experience, right? It's like a long friggin' time. And he like goes out there and lives with like some people that teach him how to survive and the nature of the world and like how you have to survive, being attacked by a bear by making the bear more afraid of you. So like it really creates a lot of that Tarkin rules with fear mentality. It builds it up in a really beautiful and creative way. And it's just evil, man. I mean, there's like brutal murder and stuff in it. And James Luceno is very good at crafting those really gritty, harsh, histories. So, big fan.
Yeah,
All right,
I will say
here's the
between.
confusion. I found
Yes,
it.
go.
Ewan Morton did Tarkin. Daniel Davis did Plagueis.
Okay, yeah.
We
All right,
talked
yeah.
about
Oh,
both. All right.
Yeah,
another one of our harsh Luceno favorites for sure.
it is.
And I will say, between Tarkin and some of the canon comics, I believe by Charles Soule, Tarkin's character has really been intensified. Or maybe it was Jason Aaron, I don't remember. But in the Star Wars mainline, they had a lot of good Tarkin stuff. Because he's pretty terrifying. Peter Cushing,
Very
rest in
good.
peace. We love you. All right,
Yeah,
Wes,
You see.
last big one.
I'm going to piggyback off of Corey, and I am going to say another James Luceno book, and it is Plagueis. Darth
There it
Plagueis.
is.
So,
Very good. Very good.
also a Legends title. I really love this. This may have been like the third or fourth Star Wars book that I had read.
Incredible.
Yeah, the descriptions of some of the like the fight scenes with Plagueis himself, and then like in the very beginning, it even starts before then with Tenebris, which is Plagueis' master, right? And then
Love
it
Tenebris.
goes to Plagueis, and then it goes to Palpatine, and then it's just like a coming of age with Palpatine. You're like, wow, that's how he got to be, like you said, Corey, an evil son of a bitch. And like, I mean, some of the ways that Palpatine had become who he is that we know. I don't want to divulge, but it is an incredible book. It's very descriptive. It is deep, but make sure,
Man,
make
the
sure you
audiobook-
get
the
it.
audiobook is a
Yeah.
it's an I think the Plagueis audiobook is far and away, by significant leaps and bounds, my absolute best audiobook experience I've ever had. Like,
That's what I was trying to say.
That's amazing.
the audiobook experience of Plagueis, I don't know what it is. It's the narration and the it is very, very good. Like,
I have
you guys
extra
remember
credits.
that was like 6 months ago, right?
Yeah, it wasn't
Like, when I
long.
read
Oh, yeah, it
that,
changed
like,
you.
I would
It
not
legit
shut the
changed
hell
you.
up about it. Yeah, it was really, really wild. You
I,
know,
also,
like,
real quick, are we flexing? I didn't realize. Are we?
Oh no, you didn't.
Are we bringing out our Plagueis hardcovers? Is that what's happening?
is that, we had
If you were taking
Yeah,
a knee while showing us that book, that'd have been even better.
Oh my god!
but-
I will also mention a lot of chat stuff. I'm going to actually hit before mine. But Evan says the Tenebris Way short story was so key to deepen my enjoyment of the book. Jared, correct me if I'm wrong. That's in the first volume of the Legends
That is correct.
of.
These are very valuable hardbacks for our audio listeners. Eric and Jared apparently both own hardcovers. I don't own any
Yes, we do.
books, and
Yeah.
Wes owns a music paperback. So,
It's used too.
yay
Look
for
at
the
that.
Core Squad. Look at
You
that.
read it.
$2
You read it,
at
man.
Good Books.
Look at that.
At Goodwill, my friends.
I will say before my last big pick, I want to shout out a couple in the chat. Catalyst is being talked about a lot. The Rogue One novel tie-in by James Luceno, amazing book. I absolutely thought about it on this list, but we have talked about it a bunch, so I'm glad that you all brought it up. Absolutely changes how you read Rogue One. We talked about it in our commentary, our Patreon commentary, about that quite a bit, and how it deepens Krennic and Galen's relationship.
That is
So-
also Jonathan Davis too in the narration. I just saw it on the site, and I need to add this
Perfect.
one. I haven't listened to this audiobook, so I might come back and as big of a fan of Rogue One as I am.
I do too.
This might also be a religious experience for me.
Yeah. So big
Yeah.
shout out to
I'm
Catalyst.
gonna add that one to the
Have
list.
you guys done a prequel books episode, like tie-in novels?
Yes, for Phantom Menace we talked about
For
specifically.
Phantom Menace only, but overall, that could
don't
be
we
an
have
interesting
a
one.
this year is anniversary
Clones.
of Attack of the Clones? That'd be a great opportunity to do
Yeah,
that,
nothing
Jared.
else is happening in
Yeah.
May, so that'll be great.
Oh my God, don't say that.
So my last standalone novel is what I truly think is, I will say, the most standalone novel in the history of Star Wars. And it will make sense in a second because it's why I'm wearing this shirt. It's Ronin. We talked about this earlier this year, obviously. Had a whole roundtable about it. I'm showing my little Goldsboro edition that finally arrived. But this book I wanted to talk about briefly because I think we talked about it when it came out. It's the most uniquely written Star Wars book I've read possibly in my life. And then it came, and because there were so many amazing releases around it, from the High Republic to the end of the Ascendancy trilogy, it came in, and then it somehow kind of went away in the hubbub. And I just wanted to really accentuate it because this book is the epitome of, you need to know nothing about Star Wars. It does not have anything to do with characters before or after. It is just a book that if you like the written style of the author, you will like the book. And I think books like that, I truly don't know if we'll ever get another book like this. Maybe if we get another book based on Star Wars Visions or something like that. But if you watch Star Wars Visions, the first episode leads into this, but you don't need to read it because the beginning of this book is that episode. And I think about this book every once in a while because the author Emma Miyako Candon, who remains one of our most incredible interviews in the history of the show, just wrote a book that didn't take any cues really from previous Star Wars books. And to me, for standalone novels, this is kind of the epitome of what that could mean for all of Star Wars.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be a shame if we didn't mention it.
And she was nominated for Author of the Year, right? This year?
Yep.
Yeah.
She was.
Just based on this book.
Based on that book.
Her first Star Wars book and her first
published book.
Yeah.
Knocked it out of the park.
I wasn't as high on that as you were, Eric, but I will say in the months that have passed since, it's one of the books I've been dying to reread the most. And so for even somebody who was less than favorable on the book, the fact that I want to go back to it is really a good sign for the longevity of the life of this book. Because when you finish it, you're like, whoa, what did I just read? And
that last part especially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was me.
Sure. Yeah, for sure.
I definitely needed the Visions, like the anime cartoon before I read this book, because then I would have really had no idea what was going on, because I read it so fast that I need to take another step. I need to, like I usually do, is read the book along with the audiobook, because I'm a child.
Hey man,
and I love
whatever
it.
helps you. Yeah, absolutely love that. And what I love, before we get into our little rapid fire round here of some last titles that y'all should pick up, I really love how much we're talking about reading novels and listening to audiobooks on this episode especially. We bring that up sometimes, but I think it's really cool just to really accentuate however you're consuming your content is amazing. If you're a person that doesn't jive with audiobooks, that's fine. Read your physicals. If you want to go on the lawnmower and you want to fly an airplane and you want to throw on that audiobook, that's also great, because the stories are just the stories. You know, it's a professional narrator or a professional writer. It don't matter. So I think that's, and especially with standalones, I think that's really fun to figure out, does the voice of Plagueis literally make you love that book more than your internal monologue of Plagueis and stuff? So play around with it. That's awesome.
Rapid fire.
So Jared, you had some more titles for us. Let's
quick.
Yeah, name them.
Both of mine.
Give a little bit yet, and tell us why you love them.
Both of mine debatable on if they qualify, but I'm counting them. Awesome. This is my shot, and I'm shooting it. Honor Among Thieves, one of Eric's favorite legends.
That was in my stack, Jared. I count it.
That is a good-looking cover.
Yes, it's so good.
It is a great little heist book. Whoop, dropped it. Okay. And technically it's part of a duology, but they're not connected in any way whatsoever. Lost Tribe of the Sith, the collected stories. Technically it's a book full of short stories, but it's a book. It's bound. I'm counting it.
It's like your abandonment of the rules.
It's like 10,000 years before the films, and John Jackson Miller, Sith Lords, stuck on a planet. That's all you need to know.
Bam. Literally pulled Honor Among Thieves.
You.
Fun fact, Honor Among Thieves is written by James S.A. Corey, which is the pen name of the writing duo that wrote the Expanse novels. So if you like the Expanse novels, you got to pick up Honor Among Thieves. The best Han Solo in print for my money, other than A.C. Crispin. Love it. Corey!
Ready? High five.
Bam!
Other way.
Oh, wait. We nailed it.
I have. I'm gonna rapid fire two of them really fast because they are similar in many ways. The first is Death Star by Michael Reeves, Steve Perry.
Yeah.
You guys have heard me talk about this book. A lot of people really dislike this book for some reason. I read this pretty early on in my Star Wars reading history, released in 2007. Community, there's only one review on there. It's three stars, not very good, but that's okay. This is it's like a series of short stories, kind of, and there's sort of also a cohesive story throughout about like lots of characters who were on the Death Star, Imperial or not, like before it exploded or when it exploded, the first Death Star, I believe, Maybe it was the second Death Star. I can't remember. But it's cool. It's cool. There's like lots of the little people are on there, right? Like somebody that they ran a cantina or something, right? Like on the Death Star because like the Imperials had to, have entertainment and
unwind
stuff,
somehow.
Yeah, exactly, right? So it was like, they basically contracted people to come in and work in the Death Star and stuff, and it's a clever little spin on the story, and like it has you rooting for the characters because you don't really know who's going to survive and who's not, and that sort of thing, and it's got some twists and turns in that you're not expecting. The next one I have is Millennium Falcon, also very similar in a lot of ways.
Very similar tones, yeah.
Yep, but also James Luceno, which I didn't realize until much later that he actually wrote this book. But it chronicles the Legends edition of who owned the Millennium Falcon, going all the way back to its creation, and it's cool. I think it's in reverse order, if I remember correctly, where Mark Thompson apparently narrated it. That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Wait, so Luceno has 4 standalone novels that we've talked about.
Yeah,
I'm telling you. Yeah.
Do not
amazing.
write.
I think
It's
there's
not
a circus on the Millennium
Nanotechnology.
Yeah, there's a circus on the Millennium Falcon at one point. There's like a couple of smugglers. I feel like it talks about Lando and why he owned it. Like, I mean, it's cool. Like it goes, it's pretty clever. Like how it framed, and the story is framed in a very interesting way because at this point in Legends history, on the timeline, actually the Utini timeline, you can see where this takes place. It takes place after the Legacy of the Force series, right? Which there's a Jason Solo has a kid, and like Han and Leia are sort of the caretakers for the child, for the little girl, and like they are trying to like take her mind of all this horrific trauma that just occurred to her, like from the Legacy of the Force series, and the whole book is kind of framed as Han and her go on this adventure to try to discover the story of the Millennium Falcon. So it's kind of told as if they're learning it together, like a grandfather-granddaughter adventure. It's really cool.
Yeah,
it's a really
cute.
clever story framing idea that it's another sleeper hit, man. James Luceno, man, he doesn't let you down.
I love that. Awesome. All
Fun
right,
fact
Wes.
about Death Star, we had Trevor on Legends Look Back one time. We had him read the book, and then none of the rest of us read it, so we didn't talk about it.
Wow.
Wow,
All right.
the truth
You had
comes
him read
out.
the book on the show.
It was the early days. We were still
We
figuring
still
it
got-
out.
Oh, the early days of all these shows.
Sorry,
Here
Trevor.
we are.
Okay. I have 2. I guess I kind of have 1.5, but my first one is Utini book boxes. This is Star Wars: The Lando Calrissian Adventures.
That's 3
Which
books,
is
Wes.
actually, that's why I said 1.5. I got 2 in the book. It's 3 stories in one. But if you are a fan of like the peculiar, of the crazy fantasy, then this is the book for you. Like, it's bound. I'm going with Jared's definition, all right? It's one book.
Don't blame me for this.
No.
So, first story is Lando Calrissian and the Mind Harp of Sharu, Lando Calrissian and the Flame Wind of Ossian, and Lando Calrissian and the Star Cave of Thonbaka.
I mean, amazing titles. Amazing
Really good.
titles.
And
Some of the
then
weirdest
throwing up,
Legends books ever. Yep.
this is probably another one that's probably not allowed, but you know what? Screw it. This one is, because my cameras, you can't even see it, but whatever. It's Revan. Revan is going to be
allowed.
my standalone novel because I've only read this one of the 4 books. So it's a standalone for me.
I gotta say, it's kind of a standalone. I mean, there
book
are
can-
4 books.
Hey, listen,
And
guys.
it's-
Any book can be a standalone if you just
If
stop
you only
reading.
read one. I thought it was a really good book. It's more or less about Scourge than it is about Revan, but it was still a really good book to read as my first in the Old Republic series.
It does stand on its own,
Andrews
right?
in the chat says he's going to tape all his Alphabet Squadron books together, so you can talk about those with the one book less.
Hey, man, as long as it has a Utini pull quote on the back of it, we'll count it.
That's right.
All right. I have 4, and I'll be quick about it.
4. God. Okay.
I love Star Wars.
Rapid fire.
Rapid fire. The first one, because we're flexing, is Master and Apprentice by Claudia Gray. It's the Star Wars
almost chose
Celebration
that.
Edition hardcover, which I love a lot. One of the best canon books of all time, and if you love Force lore and Qui-Gon Jinn especially, you get a lot of Qui-Gon in this book. Can't go wrong. The next book is a book that just got brought up in the chat a bunch, and I couldn't agree more. It's Dark Disciple by Christy Golden.
Wow.
Technically an
flexing.
unpublished Clone Wars arc with Asajj Ventress and Quinlan Voss. Amazing. Good. There's love story stuff. There is great violent stuff. Dathomir, Jedi Force Lord, Jedi Council being total assholes. You gotta love it. Dark Disciple, amazing. Next one, going back to Claudia Gray, Bloodline. You want Leia being a politician post Return of the Jedi. We don't get a lot of Return of the Jedi stuff or post Return of the Jedi content in canon thus far. This is a great one. It's a very much a political thriller. Think Captain America: Winter Soldier, but in a Star Wars book. That's Bloodline. You get Leia being fantastic. A lot of senatorial proceedings, but not in like a dry way. Claudia Gray does amazing action with it. Love it. And finally, a book that I think we mentioned earlier this episode, but it's Last Shot by Daniel Jose Older. It's a tie-in to Solo, yes, but it is still a standalone novel because it takes Han Solo and Lando Calrissian, depending on which chapter you're in and which cover you have. It's a reversible cover, which is very fun. And it's Daniel Jose Older's first foray into Star Wars with this book. So if you liked Midnight Horizon, you liked the High Republic Adventures, a lot of stuff like that, go back and give this one a shot. The time, yeah, right. The time traveling between the younger versions, the older versions, and the chapters gets a little confusing.
So
Wes, you were right. That was great. It gets a little odd sometimes, but if you buy into the conceit, it's a really fun one and has one of the creepiest cybernetic villains in canon that we've seen, and is if Grievous was a little more psychotic. So a lot of fun with that. That's my rapid fire list of standalones. And it's interesting this year, guys, because I was thinking as we kind of come to the end of this episode, we've dealt with a lot of series the last few years with High Republic, the Alphabet Squadron books, Thrawn Ascendancy. This year, though, Shadows of the Sith, canon book, gonna be standalone. Padawan, standalone. Brotherhood, standalone. We're getting a lot of standalone novels this year for the first time in kind of the last 4.
Yeah, I really enjoy.
That's
I
a good
really
point.
enjoy those standalones because you don't have to put much work into them. I think, but maybe I'll be wrong. Whatever. But
You're still gonna wait till the last damn minute to read them, Wes. So what's the point?
Exactly.
I cram for the test. That's exactly why I am. I'm always going to be that way. But I appreciate how we kind of stretched our reach a little bit on these books, because none of us said Lost Stars. That would have been easily one of the first standalones that we were
the crowning jewel of standalone books. And if this is your first episode, you've never listened to Living Force before, then it's so common knowledge with us that it goes without saying that Lost Stars is an unbelievably good canon. Standalone.
Yeah, there were some of those that we just weren't saying at the top of the show because we were trying not to just take everybody else's picks, but then probably should have just let off with
Who Lost Stars. But there's some that you love as you're listening or watching. If there's some books we talked about that you haven't read, give them a shot. We got Queen is Hope in a month or so, but if you need a new book, or better yet, like we said earlier, if you have a friend that doesn't want to put in the legwork, that hasn't gone through the guides and stuff on Utini and listen to podcasts, throw one of these books and just be like, hey, you know what? This is a fun, just book. It's a single book. If you don't like it, that's fine. There's no other books like it. Go on to the next one. And I think that's one of the really fun things about Star Wars books is that Star Wars is not a genre, right? Star Wars is a world, and there's multiple genres between them. Use the standalones to find out what kind of vibe you like, and then find that series. And I think that's a lot of fun.
And it's going back to my first pick. I don't want to get Timothy's on in any kind of trouble, but there might be, shout out to Andrew, there might be a little copyright infringement going on here. Just to say,
he didn't
kind of looks a little the same.
Usual suspects and scoundrels. It's a really beautiful cover comparison.
It's like the Vanilla Ice and
the Queen.
The Queen version.
Yeah. Well, as we wrap up today, first of all, Jared, thank you for coming on the show. Doubling up this week again, everyone.
I'm still gonna do the show this
Thursdays. Week? You're still gonna do that on Thursday. Yeah, you're still double booked.
Thanks guys for having me. I've loved it.
Of course, man, and all of you in the chat. It's been a super active chat. There's a bunch of books we didn't even talk about. If you're watching this later on, check in the live chat replay. Look at all these amazing titles. Star Wars is gonna be full of standalone novels to the end of time. We cannot wait for more. But you'll have to wait for our next episode. Next week, Midnight Horizon, Roundtable Part 1. We'll be here with overarching questions, Easter eggs. Just kidding. It's all characters next week when Dr. Charles Hankel gets back to talk about Midnight Horizon. We will see you then. Because, my friends, that'll do it for this week's episode of The Living Force. If you support us on Patreon, thank you so much for doing so. Look out for your Rogue One commentary. That's going to be coming to you very, very soon. And a special thank you goes out to OK Endar, Brian Julie, Earl Q, Patrick Ortiz, and Carl Sander on our Jedi High Council, and Matt Billington, Elizabeth Cloutier, Freddie C, and Sally and Chris Eilerson on our Alliance High Command. You can find us on Twitter. I'm at Eric Eilerson. Corey's at Dak Star Wars MD. Wes is at Boss West. The show is at Living Force Pod. Jared's on there. Legends Luke Beck's on there. Cosmic Force is on there. Just search all of us. A special thank you to Matt Davenport, our amazing editor, Ryan, our graphic designer extraordinaire, and Wes, our producer and community manager. Thank you to Corey, Wes, and Jared for podcasting with me this week. Thanks to all of you for watching and listening at home. And as always, may the Force be with you.